So again, welcome. Jessica, go ahead and take it away.
All right, hi everyone. I see a lot of blank screen, so it would be nice to see you. I kind of feed off of energy and people, but that's okay if you're shy. I understand. So thank you for joining us. Like Chris said, my name is Jessica Yoke. I'm from Mercedes, Texas. Go Tigers. So just to kind of give you a quick background about myself before coming to Michigan State, I left for college in San Marcos, to San Marcos at Texas State. So I am an alum from Texas State San Marcos Bobcats. I got my undergraduate degree. My major was in sociology with a minor in psychology. I don't know what possessed me to move to the north because it is freezing compared to the south. But I definitely came up here for my master's degree in social work, which I'm proud to say that I graduated recently in May. And so now I'm privileged to work here at the university. I do want to take some time to introduce one of my student workers who I've known her for 2 years. She was a freshman last year, and so she's starting her sophomore year here with us, and now she works with me. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Yeah, well, hi, my name is Rosie Lopez, and I'm from Wauchula, Florida, for Wildcats. And I'm a sophomore right now, and I'm a psych major. And try to stay involved as much as I can.
All right, so every now and then Rosie's gonna be interjecting because I think it's important to get a student perspective. I know a lot of us administrators were a student a long time ago, so things are changing and on the environment and on campus. And so I definitely thought that bringing in Rosie would be a great opportunity for you to ask her questions as well, and what you think from a student's perspective would be important. So feel free to pick her brain, she's getting big right now. So I'm going to switch over to our presentation. So it might take me a couple seconds. So let me just switch over. All right, I hope everyone can see that. Okay,
yes.
Good. Yes, Spartans. So a quick just little rundown. I have 2 PowerPoints that I want to show you. One of them I'll be a little bit more explicit with, and I'll go into detail, again, just having Rosie's feedback. And feel free to chime in and ask questions. I can stop at each slide. That's okay with me. Like I said, I feed more off of conversation. This is very informal. So I don't want you to feel it's too formal. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I'm sure we've all had that going into college where we just don't know. So please feel free to ask me. So we'll go ahead and start. So before you apply, these are just things to consider when attending Michigan State. Prior to you even applying to Michigan State, just your curriculum in high school. How is your academic performance? How are the strength of your quality? What are the classes you're taking your senior year? What are the extracurricular activities that you're taking in your senior year? Things that are going to make you well-rounded as an individual applying to any university. But specifically with Michigan State, they really take a look at that as a whole. Your class rank and your ACT, SAT scores. If I'm being 100% honest, your class rank does help you a little bit, but it's more your academic placement scores, like your SAT, ACT, maybe a THEA, an AccuPlacer, those type of placement exams that are going to help you with your admission application. So this is a preview for 2015, the freshman profile of what the freshman class looked like. We had about 7,000, almost 8,000 students apply and were enrolled as freshmen at MSU in 2015. And this is on average what their GPA looked like, what their ACT scores were. So we had a high school GPA of 3.4, 3.9, and a composite ACT score of between 23 and 28. I don't want to discourage you because just because you don't have those GPA scores or you don't have the ACT, SAT scores at that level, doesn't mean that you won't get accepted. Yes, pretty high on there. We have, you know, a little more than 10,000 students apply. And if you're looking at 8,000 getting accepted, there's going to be a criteria level. But please don't let that discourage you. Apply. It doesn't hurt you to apply. So you never know. And I know Rosie can attest to that too in terms of her. Do you want to speak on that?
Well, yeah. Actually, I didn't graduate with a 3.4. I graduated with a 3 from high school. And my highest ACT score was a 19, and I didn't even take the SAT, but I still applied, and still didn't know.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it doesn't happen all the time, but it doesn't hurt for you to apply. You never know until, you know, you just take some risks and just put yourself out there and see what happens. So this is an application checklist. So once you've done that, the pre, you know, kind of evaluate where is it that you want to go to school, and not just with Michigan State, but any university. Look into that. Look into what is that university going to offer for you? Why are you picking that university? Is there something that stands out that you wish, not just the environment, but also the fields of study? Because keep in mind, you're going to college for a reason, for the academic component. So you really want to do your research on that end. In terms of your application checklist, these are more specifically to MSU, and I'll get into a little bit more specific on the actual application. But these are things you want to consider. So there is, you know, on top of the application process online, there is a $65 non-refundable application fee, which you are responsible for paying for. You have to submit your high school transcripts, and also if you're currently taking college credits, so a lot of high schools offer dual enrollment, or you want to take summer classes before coming in as a freshman, make sure that you're transferring those transcripts as well to the university. And then having your SAT scores being sent to that university. So when you take your ACT and SAT exams, and make sure that you're marking the universities that you want your scores to be sent to. And if MSU is one of them, then feel free to put that on there. And then MSU does not require letters of recommendations for your application process. So there are universities that do. I know when I applied to Texas State, they required a letter of recommendation and a personal statement. I don't know if that's true now, but we tend to move away from that. So we do not require a letter of recommendation from a teacher, and I believe the only thing you do need to do is do a personal statement of why you would like to attend MSU. So once you apply, and if we go back for a second, the viaspartan.msu.edu is actually the website that you're going to go to apply, and it really breaks it down by steps of what you need to do prior, what you need to do during, and it has a follow-up number that you can call and check the status of your application, which is neat. And I understand that in Texas, to apply to all universities, you have to go through Apply Texas. That's not necessarily for us. We have our own application for MSU. So once you're enrolled, the things that you'll be looking at completing is a math placement exam, and that really tests, and this more specifically to MSU. Again, I'm not sure how other universities do it, but more specifically to MSU, once you get admitted, you are going to be required to complete these steps on your viaspartan portal. And the math placement exam really, so some of our students, and I don't know if Rosie can attest to this, but some of our students don't necessarily take that exam seriously, but we do encourage you to do your best. From that score, that's really how an academic advisor such as myself will place you into that math course, right? That's appropriate based on your math score. So if you get below a 9, then I will more than likely place you on remedial math before you can start college algebra math. But if you got a score of 16 or higher, then you can test out of a whole college course. And so you already have one course down, and you don't even have to take it anymore. And so that's equivalent. So that's why I recommend, should you go this route and you're looking at the math placement exam, really do your best, because you can save time and money. The immunization self-report, this is something new, and I know universities across the nation are asking you all to get a meningitis shot. to be up to date on your vaccinations. This one, we don't necessarily need your proof. We don't need your actual record. What you'll do is just log on online and self-report. So based on the record that you have, you can say, yes, I already had these shots, or no, I have not had these shots. The Spartan Persistency Project, that's an internal survey with MSU, and that's a short survey that everyone needs to complete before coming into MSU. And then the student background experience, so that's another demographic survey. So they want to know who you are, where you're coming from. MSU prides itself on diversity and including a very inclusive environment where we get students not only across the nation, but across the globe. So we have a lot of students coming from, international students coming from Asia, coming from India, Africa. So we do have a lot of other students coming onto this campus. And so that survey, that inventory is really for demographic purposes to see what is the makeup of our university. And then again, I can't stress this enough with your high school transcripts and your college transcripts. And I will feel confident to say this across every university. Without those transcripts, and if you wait till the last minute, that really impedes you from starting the fall semester, enrolling into classes, because they need, that's a requirement per the application process. So once you already know where you're going to college, just start getting that information out there to the Office of Admissions. So our academics here at MSU, so we have more than 200 plus areas of studies. We have a bunch of research, internship, leadership opportunities on campus, and those cycle per department. So under each dean, under each college, they'll have explicit internships, research opportunities under those. So if you're under the College of Social Science, so like psychology, sociology, you will have your own set of research and internship opportunities that are being facilitated through you per your academic advisors. So that's kind of neat because they are specific to you, and you're not just going and looking at, okay, where can I find an internship? Where can I find a job? Where can I find research to conduct? You can just easily go to your academic advisor and find those opportunities. And then 80% of the classes that we have on campus are 50 students or less, and meaning that we try to keep 17-to-1 ratio with professors and students. So amongst those classes that have 50 students, you'll have your professor and you'll have 2 TAs in the class. You have additional support systems. That's not to say you won't have a lecture class, because we do have a lot of lecture classes that seat up to 200 people, 600, right? But you also have an additional class that week that's more smaller and more focused. So you can have a math lecture class of 200 people, and you can sit way in the back and might not even get a lot of the information, but you'll have an additional class that week that's small, like 20 people. And you can ask further questions about what went on in the lecture class. So that's kind of neat. We're moving more to a smaller model of students in our classroom. So student life, and Rosie could probably attest to this a little bit more, as I did not do my undergrad here at MSU. And from me being on campus, I hear a lot of students are like, oh, this is awesome, this is cool. And I'm like, yeah, Texas State was totally different from what it is here at MSU. So these are just a couple of things that we have going on here regarding our student life. So many of you might know, but we are part of the Big Ten Conference, and we have more than 700 student organizations on campus. And the reason I bring up the student organizations is because you can always find a group in which you have stuff in common with, that you can connect with. It's all about retention at a university. So what's gonna make you stay here? What's gonna make your daily life here with school a little bit easier, more fun, because yes, you're here for academics, but you're also here to have a college experience. And so the fact that we have 700 student organizations to pick one, you should never get bored. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We do have one of the largest intramural sports, and intramural sports are, so we have our football team, right? And that's a Big Ten. really you're gonna have to be selected to be a part of that football team. But if you wanted to join a football team, a soccer team, a baseball team, a volleyball team, any sport that you just wanted to be a part of as a team, that would be under intramural sports. And we have one of the largest programs here, and multiple programs. I mean, we have sailing, boxing, skiing, rowboating. I mean, you name it, we have it. That's another thing that the university prides from their campus, is just having those programs available. Greek life, very much like a lot of other universities. Our neighborhoods, so our university is divided into 5 big neighborhoods. And then within those neighborhoods, they have additional support staff, which we call Spartan Success Scholars, Spartan Success Coaches. We have neighborhood advisors. So if you don't want to go across campus to go see your academic advisor, you can see an advisor in your dorm. So that's really nice because not a lot of universities have that. You can easily wake up 9 o'clock in the morning, have an advising appointment at 9:30, and just walk downstairs. And that's very convenient. And then we have a lot of other things here in terms of museums. And I just want to say this, just food for thought, but all of you who've seen the Batman movie, the most recent one with Ben Affleck, that really nice building that they have the dinner in with Lex Luthor. Sorry, my nerdiness is coming out a little bit. But that building where Lex Luthor had his dinner, it was a museum that we have here called the Eli Broad. And we call it the spaceship-looking museum. But that was filmed here, and there was like a lot of media over that. So that's just a food for thought. So if that increases your interest coming over here, just know that Batman was filmed here. And then I'm gonna let Rosie talk a little bit more about just the student life and how she, how coming from high school and seeing the university to this magnitude, because it's a large university, how she felt about that.
Well, for the student life, for sure, coming from high school, I was definitely like involved in sports and clubs. But coming here, there is like a whole huge different variety of clubs and activities that you can do. And we actually have this event at the beginning of the year called Participation, where every single organization, including Greek Life, I mean, anything really, you name it, like is out there trying to recruit. They give away a bunch of stuff like shirts and food and cups and a bunch of things like that. And this year, I'm actually president of an organization here on campus called IAV, which stands for the International Engagement Volunteers. And what my organization does is we raise money for a trip that's called IEM that we go to in the spring to go help different agencies in Mexico and stuff like that. But totally, I feel like the student life here is very engaging. Like, I can personally say you'll never feel left out. And if you want something to do, there's definitely always something you can do.
There is. There always is. If not, you can always stop by our offices. So another thing that MSU is really known for, as I mentioned earlier, that we get a lot of students from globally. So it's not just nationally do we get out-of-state students, but globally. We have a huge study abroad component that's encouraged within your attendance here. I know like within our program, and I'll kind of go into a little bit of the program that I work for, we require our students to do a study abroad their first year. And now a lot of the majors that we have here within MSU are making that a part of their requirements in order for you to get your degree, to do a summer abroad or to do 2 weeks during Christmas break. So stuff like that, and I think that's something that MSU is really proud of. So we have about 275 programs in every continent, including Antarctica. That's like mind blowing, you know. So that's all those that want to go to Antarctica, just come to MSU and we can do a study abroad over there. But you know, every year we have more, and I think this number is pretty small, but we definitely have more than 2,500 students studying abroad. Actually, today I just met with 2 students who want to go to Greece this summer. So we're in the middle of doing applications for that. And it's really, there's so much money on campus that all you have to do is apply to scholarship. And you don't have to pay a single penny to do study abroad. And you're going for an experience and you're going for credit. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. A lot of universities do offer study abroad, but ours is really big in the fact that there are scholarship opportunities to be debt-free and enjoying an experience like that. And then MSU ranks in top 10 for international enrollment and study abroad. I mean, we have programs that last semester, actually in spring semester, we had 6 of our students who went to study abroad in the Philippines for 4 months. And that was a really amazing experience. I mean, these are students who come from, where we come from the valley. I had La Villa, that was one of them, Palmview, Harlingen, Brownsville. I mean, these students went over, Florida, and they went over there for 5 months, and to live somewhere else, for 5 months and study over there. I mean, I think that was, and that's the picture that you see right here with, and I don't know if you can see it, up Los Baños. Those are the students who went to study abroad in the Philippines. This right here is a study abroad that we take our students to in the first year. We go to Mexico, and this is what Rosie's a president of. She's a president of IEV that funds money or raises money for us to go to these sites, not to pay for our trip, but to be able to donate to the agencies that we're helping out. So we go to 4 major cities of Merida, Campeche, Puebla, and Oaxaca. And we go and do community service during spring break. So instead of having a really awesome spring break, we're still having an awesome spring break helping people. So I think this study abroad just opens your mind and opens doors and perspectives. It really is an amazing experience. The financial aid, everyone's always worried about money and how we're going to pay for school. Trust me, I was all about the money in undergrad, so I understand where concerns might be. So FAFSA, I'm sure all your counselors, your teachers have already been telling you, apply now. October 1st, they already came out. And the neat thing with that is you can use your 2015 tax return. So really, there's no delay. It's just about a matter of doing it within 30 minutes, and you're pretty good. So 70% of our freshmen here at MSU receive financial aid. Those who don't either qualify for loans, or, I mean, you still get a financial aid package, but you might qualify more for loans and an occasional federal Pell Grant. Our awards here at MSU, so a lot of our grants that MSU offers is really based on need, merit, and work study opportunities. And this is just more of a food for thought. When you're applying for your FAFSA, make sure that you click on, yes, I want work study, because that's really going to help you when you're trying to find a job on campus, because most offices will take work study recipients. So, and then I included a link, and I will share this with Chris so that he may be able to facilitate this. But you can find more admissions information and financial aid information via that link. So yes, it's expensive to come here, but I hope that doesn't discourage you from all the cool things that I talked about earlier. For an in-state student, and maybe that's irrelevant since I'm talking to a lot of students in Texas, but I do want to talk about the difference. So the non-Michigan, so for you all, if you were to come up here, would be, a year 47,000. Ugh, that is expensive, right? That does sound a little overwhelming. But I do want y'all to know that for those, and also, again, I'll speak about the program that I work for, but for those who are non-Michigan residents, there's a tremendous amount of scholarships that MSU offers that all you have to do is go to that link that I was in the previous slide and look up the scholarships, because again, it's merit-based, but it's also income-driven. So if you're applying to the university and maybe your family income is disproportionately lower than a couple of other applicants, you might already be eligible for scholarships that you don't even know. And so it's a good idea for you just to kind of look at that site and just kind of skim through them and see, okay, is this income-based driven? Can I apply to this? So I encourage you to do that. So yes, for non-Michigan residents, it is twice as expensive than Michigan residents. But I will say this, for those, and I don't know if I have a slide on here about that, but I work for a program called the College Assistance Migrant Program better known as CAMP. I know there's 2 in the Valley, 1 in Brownsville and 1 in UTRGV. For those students who are eligible for the CAMP program and want to come to MSU, essentially you would have you would go through the same process of the application itself, and you would just put on the application and ask that if you want to apply to the CAMP program, you would put yes. And so if you're eligible for our program, and this is really, and I'm only speaking on behalf of the program that I work for, if you're eligible for that program, you do not get charged out of state tuition. You get charged the in-state tuition. So we're able to accommodate that change of tuition for you so that you still qualify for federal aid, and then you can still qualify for grant money here on campus. So, you know, for those who might be eligible for the CAMP program, for one additional information, I'll share my contact information with Chris, and you can reach out to me, and I will be glad to give you that information. And then this is just the link of scholarships. I kind of mentioned that one already. You can just kind of click on that and kind of scroll. There's a lot, so I wasn't gonna put all of those on here. And then this is just an advice from me as an advisor, things that as a college advisor, what we wish our students prior to coming over here know. And I think this is important. Know ahead of time what you want your major to be. I'm not saying that it has to be set in stone, but do your research. You know, really figure out what is it that you're good at. What are some things that you like? If you like taking pictures, look at something that's maybe into communication, maybe into the arts. If you really like talking to people, so if you can't tell already, I love talking and I can talk all the time. And so for me, I knew, I was like, is this a talent? I don't know. But I found a major that was really what I wanted to do, and I could be able to meet people and talk to people. I knew I wasn't good at math. I knew I wasn't good at science. So the STEM majors were out for me. That cut it in half for me. So start researching that. And when you figure out, I mean, pick top 5. Say like, I think I can do these things. Then go to the university you want to go to and start looking up their programs and what are the classes they're going to take. Obviously, you still have time to change your major until about your junior year in college. But it makes it a lot easier when you've already done the research instead of picking what your friend might, or you know what, psychology is pretty normal, maybe I want to go into that one. I challenge you all not to pick comfort majors. Just because you heard about it once, do your research on it. Because we have 200 plus majors in our university, and I doubt that you all know what those 200 are. So I encourage you to do that research. It makes it a lot easier when you come over here because you can test the class. And then if you don't like it, then you can change it, right? So really kind of play around with that and do your research. And then contacting admissions. Don't be afraid. And I know I was, when I was, 18 years old applying to college, I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like I didn't want to call the university because they were so proper and they were so, I didn't want to make a fool of myself, I was intimidated. And so really being able to do that for yourself, there is no such thing as a bad question. There is no such thing, you don't know, how can we know what we don't know? I know it's kind of redundant, but I encourage you to be following up. So once you submit an application, call up and like, hey, I submitted this, what else do I need? That way you're not 3 weeks in the dark and you could have done something 3 weeks ahead of time, okay? And then tutoring. I cannot stress this enough, and maybe Rosie can kind of attest to this. And I'll kind of just based on my experience this year with my freshman students coming in, they're struggling, and that's not to say that college is easy or hard. College is a step in life. It's going to be a struggle. Okay, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy and a walk in the park, but you can do it. We'll always have bumps in our lives. We just got to overcome those. So one thing that you can totally be preventative for your classes, you're going to struggle, and that's okay. Struggling is not a bad thing. You might need some help, and that's okay. Go seek assistance. Go to tutoring. I cannot stress that enough. A lot of students think they can just do it on their own, or they don't want to go out of their comfort group. You really need to hone in on that tutoring, because if anything, you're the only one that suffers. You're the only one that's going to be on academic probation. It's not going to affect me as an advisor, but I definitely want to see you come back the next year, and I definitely want to see you graduate. So please, I mean, utilize the tutoring services. They're on campus for a reason. Plus, your tuition pays for them. So feel free to use them, and I hope you do. And then just kind of, it's not on here, but just as, you know, a resident from the Valley, aside of a personal note, I never thought I would leave the Valley, okay? And so when I moved to college for the first time going to Texas State, I was miserable my first semester. And I wanted to go home, and I only moved 5 hours away to Texas State. So there's going to be a challenge when you move to college and when you go to college. But I want you to really evaluate, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to do? And if for you, you see yourself doing more, then challenge yourself to do that, because you'll be surprised. You'll be really surprised at the amount of work that you can handle. And for me, I never thought I'd move out of Texas after moving out of the Valley. And as much as I really want to move back to Texas because it's so cold up here, I mean, I definitely enjoy my experiences up here. And so I just wanted to share those words, you know, as an advisor, but also as a resident of the Valley, that y'all can do this. And I really hope that y'all don't give up, because, you know, we need a lot more Latinos up in higher education. So, you know, really, really consider that. The last slide that I'll show you, and this is more visually appealing, is a PowerPoint from the Office of Admissions, and they have a little bit more stats than I do. Let me get that. Does anyone have questions while I kind of transition? I know I tend to talk a lot, so please feel free to stop me.
I'm talking and I had muted my microphone. You're doing great. Thank you. I haven't seen any questions come in yet. But if y'all have any, please type them in.
All right, so this is another slide that, that again, like I said, it's through the Office of Admissions. They have better visuals, but and essentially the information's the same. But I'm just gonna briefly go through them. Unfortunately, I cannot share this slide with you all. So maybe you can just put this on repeat so you can be able to see the PowerPoint. So we'll go through each slide. So Michigan does have 4 seasons, unlike Texas. It's definitely very beautiful in the fall and in the spring. If anything, that's probably the Michigan. So that's something, again, I'm not saying, oh, okay, we have seasons, come to college up here, but I mean, that's a benefit of coming up. So this is our university profile, meaning about, we have 50,000 students, that's including graduate students, masters, PhD students, and we have about 38,000 undergraduate students. And like I said, in 2005 and 2015, we had about almost 8,000 freshman students alone. So freshman students make up a good portion of our academic class. So we do have, so majors, right? This is what I was talking about. That 200 areas of study, that's a lot of majors. Now, you know, go on to any university, go on to their website, go on to their admissions website, and start looking at those majors. Start looking at things that you never thought could be a major. The other day, we were looking at a major that was zoology. I mean, like you can do zoology. And so when you explore these types of majors, it really opens your eyes to what else is out there, not just the basics that we know. And just to kind of point out that MSU does have residential programs. So for like the College of Business, if you're interested in business, they have a residential program where you live, you're meeting, you have classes with the people within that major. And so that's kind of neat because not a lot of universities have that. The program that I work for, we have a residential program. So we have all our students live in the same building that our offices are in. So we have easy access. And then, opportunities, major preference. So when you enroll into MSU, and I'm not sure for other universities, but when you enroll to MSU, if you don't have a major, if you can't think of anything, you can always declare no preference, and that's not going to be, that's not going to affect your application of being accepted. And like I mentioned earlier, you just have to declare a major by your junior year. The first 2 years will be university requirements across all majors. The university requirements are the same. So by junior year, you will need to pick a concentration of what you want your bachelor's degree to be in. Individualized advising. Like I said, our advising is very intrusive. For me, I advise a specific group of students. So I advise 59 students that are enrolled in our program. But on top of the advising that I provide, the building, like I said, the dorm building has 3 advisors that you can go to. Their undergraduate advisors. And then each college has about 10 advisors. So there's always a way to get advising, and a lot of the departments on campus, especially programs like business, where the College of Business is a little bit harder to get into, professors, even though they're not technically advisors, they open their office hours for advising purposes as well. So you have like an endless amount of opportunities to be able to talk to someone about your major, or if you're questioning other majors. The classroom experience, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. For the most part, the classes are small, but like I said, you always have those big lecture hall classes at the 200, 500 students. But those classes can be really short, like 15 minutes, and then you have a specific, more in-depth close class of like 20, 25 students of probably an hour and a half. So that way you can be able to ask questions from the big lecture. And then so our university, along with our rival university down the street, University of Michigan, we do have a lot of research opportunities for our students, and that's actually very up and coming as they're engaging a lot of the undergraduate students. So by your sophomore year, by the end of your freshman year, once you have an established GPA, you can already start engaging in research. And I'm not just talking of being a research assistant, I'm talking about research that's going to be published, research that your name could be on. So that's a really neat opportunity, because within the past couple of years, now it's not just exclusive to graduate students, it's becoming more of an undergraduate realm. And then I kind of talked about study abroad, so I'm going to skip that one, but it really is cool, so you should do any study abroad. And then this is the intramural programs that we're talking about. We have 28 sport clubs. This is just one of 3 of our polls. So, like I said, the university itself is constantly having opportunities and organizations for students to be able to participate on campus. So there's always a place for someone. And so these are some of the dorms. And if I'm being 100% honest, these are the nicer dorms. The other dorms are nice. They're just maybe a little bit smaller. But all first-year students are required to live on campus. There's no really budging with that unless, we've had students in the past who come up with kids, and so we'll do off-campus housing. But for the most part, that's built into your application process that you're required to live on campus for a year. And to be honest, it's probably more crucial than anything. Living on campus really immerses yourself in the campus environment and the community. So whatever university you attend, I would encourage you to think about living on campus the first year. And these are the neighborhoods that I was talking about. So below each dorm, you have a neighborhood setting like this where they have tutoring. And that's another neat thing that I forgot to mention, is then within your dorm building, not only do you have advisors there, but you have on-site tutoring. So you have tutoring for math, chemistry, English, writing. They have a writing center here. So really everything's in the comfort of your own home, so to speak, your home away from home. in dorms. So you don't have to walk across campus to go to the library. Everything's really built into your dorm setting to be able to have easy access. And then your dining options. We have a lot of dining halls. And what I remember, from being at Texas State, we didn't have this many dining halls, so they're a little spoiled over here. But they have dining halls all the way to midnight. Not only do you have, depending on the meal plan that you get, you have unlimited meals. You have a combo exchange, meaning we have little. This is how fancy they are. Okay, they have little convenience stores called Sparties in each dorm hall. And so you literally can just go downstairs. If the campus closed, you just go down to these convenience stores. Well, not convenience stores, but Sparties, and you can just get a meal from there and they have really good meals that it's not just like wrapped up. So, I mean, that's kind of nice too. And then we have food trucks all over campus. So on top of the dining halls that are already on campus, we have food trucks that just kind of set up across campus, and you can use your meal card. Like whatever meal plan you have, you just go to the truck and say, I want this, and use your meal card. So that's kind of nice. And we're the 24th in the nation for best college food. It's not that high, but it's still pretty good. And then I kind of showed you this already, our freshman profile, a little bit of what, but again, like Rosie said, even if you don't meet that criteria, still apply anyway. You'll be really surprised once you get that acceptance. So we've had a lot of students in the past, that might have like a 16 ACT score or a 12 ACT score, and they're here at MSU. And I just like to point out that this student right here is one of our students. He actually just graduated last year, so we're really excited about that. And this is a little bit more about the admissions, and so this is probably where you kind of want to stop and kind of look at this slide and the following slides too. But the transcript, like I said, I kind of reiterate the transcript. The test, which is like the math placement, and then if you took AP exams in your classes, making sure that you let the College Board know that you want those exams transferred to the university, no matter what university it is. Because what the issue that I find myself in with the advice is that I have a couple of students who never told the College Board that, and so they're taking an English class that they tested out of an AP right now when they're just wasting their time and money because they could have got that transferred, but it was already on their schedule, and they thought that it was gonna transfer over, and it never did. So to avoid that hassle, make sure that you're letting, wherever you're taking your AP exam, but letting College Board know that you want those scores or exams to be sent over to the university. And this is more just recommended. This is not exclusive to what you need to take. That's just MSU's recommendation of courses that you should be taking, or how many years of each. And then this is the one that kind of ties into the other slide that I had of the application process. So the first step, create a file for each college of interest. I encourage you to do that for all the colleges you're interested. Start putting things that you like about each college. Start being a little bit more organized. Okay, this is what I like. This is my top score right now. This is my second. This is my third. And then applying already. A lot of the applications have already been open since November the 1st. We don't necessarily have a deadline, as long as it's about a month before the semester which you want to start. But I encourage you to get that application in, the sooner the better. That way you can start getting the financial aid package that's more adjusted to you, and get more of the not just federal money, but the university money that you're eligible for in terms of grants. And then check your online student portal, which is the Be a Spartan portal that I mentioned earlier. Consistently checking that and contacting the Office of Admissions should anything be missing, or you say, I sent my transcript 2 weeks ago and I noticed that it's not reflected. So follow up, because it might not be on your end. You might have everything, and they might just be slacking, and that happens. We all get busy, but it's better to be persistent than just to wait for a response back. And then allowing up to 12 weeks for initial decision. And we do early admits come March, and then a final letter of admission will be done May, June, But March will do, like if you applied already and you're waiting the 12 weeks, you might get a response in March. And again, this is just a little bit more, this is why the Be a Spartan website is important, because you can check your application status, you can monitor your documents, you can see what went through, what didn't went through. So if you send your transcript and it's been 3 weeks and you haven't had a response, that's where you need to be a little bit more persistent with the Office of Admission. Because it's not on you, it might be on the institution itself. And then financing your education, you know, like I mentioned, 69% of students receive aid. We have we get a lot of grants coming into the university that they really preference the need-based, merit-based students first to be able to give that grant money to them. So again, like I said, don't get discouraged with your scores to apply into MSU, or don't worry about the out-of-state tuition, because you can get funding here for the university. You just have to be vigilant and look up those resources on where you can access those grants. But a lot of the time, it's based off your application. So the information you put on your application, you might already have gotten a grant. You might have already been grant eligible, and so you're going to be receiving funds. And then this, you know, this is just a little bit more of following admissions. I know all of us have a Facebook, so I would encourage y'all to follow Spartan Admissions, and they are always posting updates of what's going on, of when the deadlines are, when you need to submit certain things, when they're gonna submit letters of acceptance. So that is, if you don't really follow up with email, which I encourage you to start getting in the habit of doing, because that's what college is emails. Go onto Facebook and really just kind of go through there and scroll through what they're saying. But they're very persistent. They're very good at updating their Facebook with deadlines, updates of what you need to put in. And I think that's pretty much it. But again, I know I talk a lot and I talk really fast. So feel free if y'all want to type in some questions, or you might have questions after the fact. You guys can easily send those questions over to me, and I can do my best to answer those. I do want to give Rosie a little tidbit of what she thinks might be helpful for you incoming freshmen, to no matter what university you're going to. This was a young lady who kind of struggled her first semester and first year, but she definitely picked it up, and now she's a president of an organization, and I think she can give a little bit more insight on the student experience. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for sure, one thing I would keep in mind is no matter where you go, just remember why you're there. Because I feel like once you're here or in any university, it's super easy to feel unmotivated, to feel like, oh, you know what, like I don't have to go to class today. Oh, you know what, like I don't have to turn this in. Like I feel like that's what I struggled with a lot my first year. So just always keep in mind exactly like what your purpose is and what you want to see yourself doing in the future, stuff like that. For sure, I would say stay involved a lot, because I think that's what happened to me, was I wasn't too involved with a lot of things. So I had a lot of free time on my hands, and that free time ended up not being such a good thing. So yeah, I would also say keep very involved, like in work or in your studies, or like here that we have all the organizations. And on the whole homesickness thing, like yes, I understand. I came all the way from Florida to Michigan with no family, no friends, nothing. I just like took a leap of faith, and it was hard the first semester having to be away from home, but after a while, like I just kept in mind, like I'm here to better my future and to make my family proud and make my hometown proud too. Yeah, I would just say try your best, and just again, don't lose focus, and just keep pushing and pushing until you can't push no more.
Awesome,
Right.
Rosie. Great job.
I think I do see questions.
Yes, she came in.
I just want to double check. So
Migrant population.
The population of migrants, that's a really good question. If I'm being 100% honest, they don't necessarily keep that demographic, because it's a controversial issue of documenting migrants, immigrants, DACA students. So when we're applying, when we're doing the application, they tend not to get that demographic. So from my knowledge, what I can tell you is that the students that we accept for our program, for the College Assistant Migrant Program, all of our students have to be need to have a COE eligibility form, who are migrant seasonal farm workers. So as of fall, and this is data that we have internally through our department, as of the fall, we have 235 students enrolled who have a migrant background. And those are all camp students. So those are all our students. And that's from freshmen to seniors. But I can attest to, or I guess I can't give you the numbers if there are other migrant students here that we don't know because we don't get that demographic. So I'm sorry, I couldn't kind of give you.
That's great, and I mean, I think camp is what they're looking for because that's going to help them financially, and they need to be a part of that, and they need to reach out and use those funds.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of our students, we definitely help them financially here. Rosie, she's from Florida, so we get a lot of our students from Florida, Texas, California, North Dakota, Minnesota. I mean, so our students come from a lot of different places within the United States, but that's the only number I could provide for our department. And then I know, Laria, you asked about deadline dates. So for scholarships, it varies. So if you click on that link, and I'll share this with Chris, if you click on that link, it'll give you specific deadlines for each scholarship. But for priority scholarships, and you can read a little bit more on that via the admissions, that deadline was November 1st. So that just passed. But again, like there's so many scholarships in there, you just have to look up what the requirements are, each one has specific deadlines. So, I mean, that would be the deadline for scholarship. For admissions, the last day would be May 1st. And that's for freshmen wanting to start in the fall. So that would be the last day. So you can start the application today and be done really on your end of submitting all the documents, and you'll be good to go. For how do you get more information about camp? So for camp, just contact me and I can put you in contact with our recruiter. His name is Leonel Ornelas Martinez, and he would actually be reaching out to that student. Since I'm the academic advisor, there's a lot of things in terms of deadlines that I'm not sure specifically for camp students. I know sometimes we're able to be flexible with deadlines because we work really close with the university, but I can definitely put you in contact with Leo, and he can outreach and be able to provide that student more in-depth information. And Leo is really good in terms of, he'll call you, he'll text you, he'll follow up with you via email. So I can give that information. I can include that with Chris with a PowerPoint.
Awesome. And is there a deadline for the camp? Do you know of, or?
I mean, we're trying to get a good list of students by May 1st. So there's not a specific deadline for us as much as that you'll go through the university. When you apply to the university, your deadline will be May 1st. But when you apply, it'll say, do you want to be a part of the camp program? And then you just check that box, and then we outreach to you and we let you know the specific requirements that we're asking. But before you apply, I can already put you in contact with Leo, and he can be able to provide you that. But we don't necessarily have specific deadlines for that because we can be very flexible as we work closely with the Office of Admissions. And then is there a priority deadline for admissions? The priority deadline is typically in October for freshmen going to the next year. That's super early. But along with the scholarship deadline of November 1st, that's when we start getting a lot of traction with a lot of the applicants coming in. So again, any time before May, you're really hitting the mark. But if you want to know, so to make it easier, I would say just apply starting now. But if you want to talk to Leo first to get a little bit more clarity on what camp has to offer, before you apply, then I would recommend you talk to him first before you do that.
It's a great opportunity to have an in-state tuition. That saves over $20,000 right there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay. So have to be very careful of how I respond to your next one, because it, as much as I like to say yes, it's very dependent on each student. So it's dependent on each student's income, the family contribution. I can say this though. So what I want to be cautious of saying is like, oh yeah, come up here, we'll pay for everything. Because we won't. It's really dependent on your financial aid package per the university, per your FAFSA. We may be able to facilitate some additional funds, but that doesn't mean that we're going to cover your first year. So one, I will say this, that the majority of our students who come from out of state are eligible for a program called Spartan Advantage, and that's per MSU. And Spartan Advantage is a really neat program because that's based on income. And what they'll do is they'll pay per credit, meaning you take 12 credits, they'll pay those 12 credits. You take 15 credits, they'll pay those 15 credits. But there's an academic requirement to that. So you have to stay within a 2.5, you need to be enrolled in 12, you have to attend workshops. So it's essentially like a scholarship to maintain that scholarship. But the majority, like 3/4 of our students are eligible for that program. So exclusively to camp, I can't say that we'll be able to fund everything, but we do assist with financial assistance depending on the situation.
We also have the TRIO program.
Yeah, and then we also have a TRIO program that's open to any student on campus, and they offer additional services much like our program. So if you qualify for our program, you're more likely going to qualify for TRIO. And they offer not only like additional to academic services like tutoring, but they can also offer scholarships, stipends that sometimes it just depends on that administration office.
Jessica, are they stackable? So they'll be able to basically combine all the different scholarships from the different areas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we have students who are not paying a dime like the whole year. And that's based on scholarship. So along with getting the federal Pell Grant, a lot of getting the MSU Opportunity Grant, the Spartan Advantage. The Spartan Advantage, I feel, is what saves a lot of our students because that pays for credits, so tuition per credit, so it pays per credit. And that's the nice thing about it. So the other grants that you're getting to pay for your dorm, can pay for your meal plan, things like that. So Spartan Advantage is probably what saves a lot of our students from taking out loans. But that's not to say that our students don't take out loans, because we have a handful of students who end up having to take out loans just based on their family income and their financial aid package that MSU offers. So us as a program, we don't say, oh, here, this is what you qualify for. We just let MSU do that, and then we kind of work with you based on what you get. But you also, like with us, we try to get that financial aid package prior to you coming over here. So that way you can see prior to coming, like, oh, I might have to take out a loan. And if you don't want to do that, then you can obviously deny coming up to MSU. So we'll save you a trip on that end. Okay, yeah. I was just reading the rest of your comments.
Double checking. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, not to discourage anybody. Again, if you're interested in the program that I work for, I can definitely forward you our recruiter's contact information. He's very on top of just contacting the students and contacting the counselors or teachers, whoever's helping them. I will say this: last year we had a little over 100 students apply, and we can only accept 60. So the sooner the better to get in contact with him and to see if MSU is right for you would be the best way to like just kind of speed up that process, especially now with FAFSA being early. You can find out what your financial aid package is as soon as March. So that would be a good opportunity. For what program is that you want to accept? Oh, our camp program, and it's 60. We accept 60 freshmen every year to attend MSU as part of the camp program. I think that's what, I hope that's what you're asking. Okay, yeah.
Excellent.
We're probably one of the biggest camp programs in the nation that accepts, I mean, there's a couple of others that accept 60 or more. We get a lot of assistance from the university as we bring in a lot of diversity into the university.
Okay.
Yeah, I can type in my email address.
What I'm going to do, just so you know, everybody, I'm drafting an email, and I'm going to include the links, and I'm also including email and phone numbers for all 4 speakers for each of the 4 sessions today.
Okay.
So they're going to get that with the recording, and they're going to have that information as well. And I have for you is the 517-432-9900. That's the work number?
That's the main office. Yeah, and they can just transfer you over to me.
Okay. Very good. I just want to make sure, because I had some speakers that gave me their cell because we were going back and forth, but they didn't want me to share their cell because kids will call them all weekend long and late at night on a Sunday, you know, that type of thing. And they don't mind text, but, you know, some things can get a little.
I mean, unfortunately, I already have 60 students, more than 60 students have my number, so my phone is always blowing up. So I would call the office, and I mean, if you're asking for questions, I'm better responsive via email than phone, because I literally do not touch my phone all day when I'm in the office.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we have gone beyond because it's been so interactive, and I thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Rosie, for your time today and all your great insight. I know everybody's going to appreciate that. And if there's any other questions, type them in quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to be signing off here. That way I can get this converted to YouTube, and I can share the link with you before I leave today at 4:30. So.
The last thing I will say, anytime someone asks you to say go green, go white. So go green, go white. So y'all have a good evening. Thank you, Chris, for letting me be a part of this. And even if you're not interested in MSU and you just want some advice about college, feel free to contact me. I mean, I always think about the Valley, and I always think about trying to get students, you know, to come to college and do all these things. And I'm not saying because I can do it, you can do it, but really, I mean, we have the potential to be able to do that. So feel free to contact me for any other additional, or the Texas State too.
That's excellent. Yeah, dual role there. With your undergrad and your master's program. So wonderful. Jessica, Rosie, I wish you all the best of luck and super success in your future. And I appreciate you helping guide our students to post-secondary opportunities, because we're all, you know, in Gear Up, it's all about getting our kids not only to graduate from high school, but to be successful and get on to a college program and then be even more successful. So
okay.
Have a wonderful day. Thanks again for everything.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Let me go ahead and